There are several conflict zones that could well determine the start of World War III, acting as the powder keg for this potential global conflict. But the three most likely candidates where World War III could begin are the continued invasion of Ukraine by Russian President Vladimir Putin, an Israeli strike on Iranian nuclear facilities followed by an Iranian response, and a Chinese attack on Taiwan. 40 million people, both civilians and military, died in the First World War. World War II caused about 60 million casualties, with an additional 20 to 30 million deaths from war-related disease and famine. Given the advancements in weaponry and technology since then, one might wonder, will anyone survive World War III? The potential devastation of such a conflict is unimaginable. With the world already in a precarious state, one wrong move could be the spark that lights the touch paper. This is why it is more important than ever for the international community to work together to prevent the outbreak of World War III, and why the world needs leaders who understand the relevant issues and can be calm in a violent storm. Historically, the environmental impact of war begins long before the war itself, as the building and supporting of military forces consumes vast quantities of resources alone. This might involve metals or rare earth elements, water or hydrocarbons. Maintaining military readiness means training, and such training consumes resources too. Military vehicles, aircraft, vessels, buildings and infrastructure all require energy, and more often than not, that energy is oil, where energy efficiency is low. The CO2 emissions of the largest militaries are greater than many of the world's countries combined. It is estimated that militaries are responsible for 5.5% of all greenhouse gas emissions globally, although military emissions reporting to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change is poor. Militaries also need large areas of land and sea, whether for bases and facilities or for testing and training purposes. Military lands are believed to cover between 5 and 6% of the current global land surface, and in many cases these are ecologically important areas. While excluding public development from these areas can benefit biodiversity, the question of whether they could be better managed as civil protected areas is rarely discussed. The disruption to landscapes, terrestrial and marine habitats has been devastating. In the modern world, the question of what would happen if World War III started is one that looms large, especially when considering the potential for an all-out nuclear war. The global landscape would undergo drastic and irreversible changes because the loss of life would be inevitable if World War III happened, as modern warfare capabilities far exceed those of World War I and World War II. The world's economy would likely collapse under the strain of sustained conflict, leading to a global recession or even a depression. World War III would upend political structures, causing alliances to shift and new powers potentially to emerge. Societal norms would also be disrupted as the world grapples with the aftermath of widespread destruction and loss. The environmental and long-term social political impacts would reshape the world in ways we can only begin to imagine.